Hello, and welcome to the news. Here we are. This is Basils Imperial News Network. Welcome. I am your host, Casimir Basilius, here to bring you the latest galactic news of GSAC G1. Today's recording date is 18/8/7894. Now, without further delay, the news. Let us start with some politics. Several independent systems of Graxis and the Tadok nations have allied with each other against the Federation of Allied Nations. The main Tadok nation states it has no concern with the dealings of its own independent worlds. However, Graxis have stated that their colonies are in violation of their government's mandates. While both the Tadok and Graxis are members of the Federation of Allied Nations and have always had close ties with each other, it is entirely possible that the Tadok support of the separatist Graxis movements might cause a rift between their two governments. The Tadok, of course, being the avian empire up north, and, well, they're not really an empire, they're more a loosely aligned collection of independent entities, while Graxis are commonly known as the Reptilian Consortium. Now, for some news on the Galactic War. The Second Galactic War remains somewhat stable. However, reports show that the Systems Authority may be preparing for a somewhat large-scale push into the territory of the Council remnant nations. We have seen quite a bit of fleet movement and troop movement on a multi-sector scale. We estimate a fleet of at least 10 million battleships and carrier-class vessels and an army of around 500 billion. Given these estimates, it is expected that the Systems Authority may be attempting to fully seize and occupy an entire sector or two. Given that this is in addition to other armies and fleets already engaged on the various fronts, this seems to be one of the larger movements of forces into a single non-Dyson swarm sector in the past 2 months. A force of this scale, while not the largest, indicates a standard mobilization of approximately 10 sectors. From this, we have speculated that the Systems Authority are still facing trouble managing their conquered territories. Galactic Standard data states that a full military mobilization of 10 sectors without megastructures should reach around 100 trillion troops or more, while what we are seeing here is a standard mobilization. Economically, however, we do not believe either side can afford to enact full mobilization of their forces. The Council of Remnant Nations are in shambles after the collapse of the Galactic Council, while the Systems Authority continues to constantly fight rebellion within their own territories. As such, we do not expect to see any truly large-scale movements or changes in the front. And now for our sponsor, Point Combat Templates. Point Combat Templates has once again reached out to me to discuss some more of their products. This time, given the recent Council report on aircraft and ocean-based ships, Point Combat Templates wants me to talk about their line of modular ocean-going ships and conversion packages for Starship sensor systems in atmosphere. Let's talk about the ships. Point Combat Templates has a long history of modular equipment and vehicles, and this extends to their ocean-based vessels too. PCT has 10 base variants of hulls for military ships and 10 base variants for civilian vessels. Both cheap and efficient, these hulls allow you to pick a base class of ship and modify it to your needs. From, where is it? A lot of the modules range from long-distance railguns to cargo carrying and luxury passenger space. The choice of what you need is yours. Carriers can easily be made by picking carrier-based operations, launch deck, and control centers. Or even just tell your point combat template's AI helper what you are looking for, be it a luxury liner, a bulk cargo vessel, a tanker, a missile frigate, a battleship, or more. Point combat templates is the go-to for all modular equipment and vessels, and currently they are having a discount on conversion of sensors for atmospheric sensors for starships, specifically fighter vessels. So you can get up to 10% off of packages for sensors, long-range sensors for starfighters in atmospheric operations. They will convert standard 32-kilometer sensors, the standard base of, well, the range of starfighter sensors in atmosphere, to modules reaching out to 200 to even 300 kilometers. And if you buy any of these packages, it is 10% off. Okay, now let's close off with commerce and economy. The main galactic economy remains stable overall. However, it is believed that the saved-up reserves of the central nations are nearing empty as the war drags on. Economists predict that the major central nations will seek to rebuild the reserves, and thus we won't see a lot of government spending on projects. This means we will likely see a downturn in the field of construction. However, it is expected that some major nations will increase the production of government-made trade goods of various kinds for sale throughout the galaxy. In addition, several major nations have considered increasing taxes to help rebuild their reserves. Despite all this, private trade remains strong throughout the galaxy. We expect to see no drop in the private sectors, well, any private sector currently, and well, we're finally seeing a drop in the military sector. Not a large drop, but we're likely to see less government purchasing of military assets, at least while they rebuild the reserves. We will then likely see an increase in the purchase of military assets from the private economy. But we are likely to see, well, just slight drops in various government-based fields. But overall, things should remain stable. Trade throughout the galaxy, as stated, remains stable. We will continue to see an increase in the prices of FTL and the construction of FTL-based systems, but we're likely to see slightly less spending than was expected on long-range FTL networks and the like. We're still likely to see an increase in their spending, just slightly less than expected. And unfortunately, that is most of what is on our news, our prepared news broadcast for the day. Unfortunately, once more, our conscripts have not entirely filled our news segments. Hopefully, we can get them to do so. After all, we do pay these conscripts 400,000 Galactic Standard credits for their 2-year service. But, I mean, that's just sometimes how it is. We have had a bit of Imperial business going on. Not trade business, but overall business. As I'm sure, I mean, this is off the record. The Empire is currently fighting its own war, unrelated to the Second Galactic War. I think we've discussed this before. Imperial forces are engaging other Imperial forces currently. Traitorous forces. But, well, we've had a lot of business involving that. And, also off the record, the traitors are working with the system's authority. And, well, the Empire does not look kindly on that. And we are likely to see, well, the Empire, we are considering reminding the galaxy just what we do, bringing back the old methods of the Empire to remind everyone that it is not ideal to work with enemies of the Empire. So we've had some planning and work involved in that. We are likely to see a return to the old Imperial ways rather soon. As such, we will, not a news segment, but we will likely be doing some additional segments just because, well, I'm going to be busy with Imperial work. So we will likely have a section, a new broadcast section, not on the news, but on separate, of Imperial operations and management of my own empire. Not my own, it's not my empire, but my faction, my 3-star systems, as we will be, well, busy assisting Lord Merritt in operations. Anyway, we've gone enough off topic here. That concludes this news broadcast. Basils Imperial News Network for all your galactic news of GSAC G1. We hope you have a good day. We apologize for the slightly shorter broadcast. We hopefully will get our normal broadcasts back soon. In addition to our various other projects, we will have our lore video out soon, along with additional projects. However, our additional projects might start next month as opposed to this month, but our lore video will be out at the end of the month. I must admit, it is slightly confusing, schedule-wise, given the fact that we try and convert the schedule to your calendar, your non-galactic standard calendar, while we use, as you can see over there, a completely different calendar than you, which means some statements such as last week of the month and second to last week of the month and so forth get a little bit confusing for us here. But Tuesdays, we should have our news, and hopefully we'll get our news back to its full broadcasts. Like I said, we've been a bit busy with various work, with just a lot of work on various aspects of Galactic Requiem, but we should be getting things back on track soon. Anyway, that's all for now. We hope you have a great day.